Now continuing with the rolling Vengeance build, next thing we're working on are grills on the side. So what I did, I found these were stairs and they were slightly too wide, but the length was correct. So all I did was on Cura was reduce the percentage of the width, and we got them to, well, roughly what required to fit on nice. So we got 8 of them to fit, and then after that we're going to be working on the fuel tank. Now the fuel tanks are quite large looking. That's a normal 1/10 barrel, which I don't think is big enough for that. It's big, but because of the size of the clod, I went a bit bigger. So these are not made up yet, but these are the bigger barrel. Actually, if I bring the other one back, you can see how much I went up by 20%. So these will be the fuel tanks on the side, nice and big. But first of all, let's get working on fitting those grills. There we are, the grills are all fitted, all 8 of them. They look quite nice. And like these were stairs from somebody's file on Thingiverse, just modified a bit. Now we've got to look at fitting these side barrels. I'm going to make them captive so they bolt on. But the problem arises straight away. I'm going to have to extend it just a little bit here and make up so it can mount about right, because I don't want it up there, it's too high. It wants to be about there. But I need to get it back on the chassis for the measurements. There we go, the side tanks are on. Finally, after lots of fettling, fiddling and everything. And then I found out this one's slightly crooked, but it will have to stay like it now. Because I made a mistake when I was doing it. I had one extra centre, a different size, and I didn't realise I'd picked up the wrong one, and I'm working with one slightly off-size barrel, and it caused a world of pain with the building, but we got there in the end. Now, for a bit of artistic licence is what you do sometimes. What I'm working on is I'm going to plumb some pipes in. So where I used these before on the previous build with the bendy, I enlarged them on Cura to 120%, and they fit nicely now on to this 6mm plastic tube I've got, so I can use that with it. So what I'm going to do is plumb it up, plumb it over and in through the side, and I've designed some flanges to go on the side just for a bit of, just to give it a bit of a look. So now I've got to chop the pipe up and do them, and then we've got to make the up pipes. And in the film they're like flames. So what I decided I found some Playmobil, these are, been resized to suit what I want, and they'll fit on top like that. So I can run the pipes up, and then these will be glued on just before the finish. That's what he says. It's a tight fit because the way they were printed, but there we go. And that'll give, well, you can't see it, but that'll give a sort of a flame out the top, so I can run it sort of just under and just have it so it won't stick out too far, but they should look good. Well, it's took a while. There's the side tube from the tank, and then the tube up to the top. We've got that done, and this is what it looks like. This is sort of used in drain pipe parts. Like I said, they were 20% oversized, so they suit this tube. So all I've got to do is put some more plastic weld on this to make sure that it's solid. But these are removable, so if I do break the top off one, I can take it apart and rebuild it again. So they are replaceable. So once this is done, I've got this all together. I've got to add some plastic tube at the back. From the film, watching a different angle, it is square tube, and it's got to go angled out from the rear, which I've just got to work out a rough angle, mark it, glue, and it will be done. There we go. Those square bits are on, as big as I want to do them. I don't want to go them too big because I don't want them knocked off, but they're there. Whether they're correct, probably a bit under, but not too bad. The flame pipes are there, and I've made, like I said, the fake flames. These are, I think, Playmobil parts resized and done. But once they're painted up, at least they'll look a bit like flames, like the real truck. Because, like I said, can't run gas and have flames on fire on a truck that is made of plastic. So next we'll be working on the front, bars and all that. We've got to work that out and how to mount it. That's another problem. Now with the next part of Rolling Vengeance, we've got to build this framework, and it seems to be just square tubing I've got to use, plastic tubing, and then there's a frame on the front. I've got to try and find out the shape and a way of mounting that, and the tubes sort of go to it. So there's a lot of working out, but under here I'm going to stick it. It won't be in that place. I'll probably run it higher because of, you know, I'm working with a clod chassis. You've got to make it how it works. He's got an auger drill, giant one, which comes out and all that. So I managed to find this print. I resized it to about this size. I thought it was about right to fit under, and we'll have that sticking out the front. If I break it, I can always make another one. You know, it's the file's on the card already set to size. But it is a case of trying to work out how this is quite fitted. The only other problem is I've got to space it out at the top and not go too high here, because I removed the top part to get to my electrics. It does sort of shoot myself in the foot, so you've got to think I'll probably put an extra bar in there somehow, filed and welded in, and drill through it to screw to the front of the body there, because it's probably I'll end up breaking it sometime, so it's got to be removable and rebuildable. So let's get on with it. There we go, the main part of the build is finished. I've put some plastic bits on the side extra. The only thing I'm missing is a couple of handles. I've got to work on that, but that's not far away. But they'll be on as and when in the next video, which is painting. But I made a bracket on the front which bolts into the original bumper mount. That has got a mount at the back for the auger. It's this drill here. It's in the film where it comes out and he drills into the back of a van door, and it's almost used to actually kill his own girlfriend. So that's that done. This framework is made out of just some plastic plastic square tube welded together, but I've drilled there and bolted it there and there. So to remove this, it's the two top screws and two nuts and bolts, and this is completely removable. Makes it a bit harder to take the chassis off, but you don't have to completely remove this. As long as I'm careful, just take the top screw and the four nuts off. But the details, as far as I'm going to go, next thing will be paint. Like I said, that's going to be hard because this is sort of a blue colour in real life, well, in the film, but it's very dulled and it's dirty, and so there's quite a bit of involved to get that right. But I'm going to take some nice photos now to show the work and what it looks like before paint.